This is my first creepypasta, so don't judge too hard if there's anything bad. It used to bug me how Halo 3 never got a remaster, but the sad truth, it did get a remaster. It's something that I wish never existed, something horrifying I had to witness. So I got the Xbox One on Christmas 2014. I wanted it for Halo. And with the Master Chief Collection out, I was excited. Halo 3 has always been my favorite, so I was a little bummed that it would have the worst graphics in the Master Chief Collection. It finished downloading on December 28th, 2014. And when I went to Halo 3 on the menu, to my surprise, Halo 3 said, Halo 3 Remastered. I pressed it, and the menu showed all the levels, including the removed Guardian Forest in between the Ark and the Covenant, which baffled me. Long story short, the remaster is one of the most fucked up things I've ever seen, and I'll explain why. And how the levels were. I only played up to Floodgate. I didn't want to continue. It was that disturbing. And dare I say it, scary. Sierra 117 was the only level that pretty much remained the exact same as the normal, with the exception of Halo 2 Anniversary graphics. The Jackal snipers were more accurate, but I was playing on normal, so it didn't affect me much. Crow's Nest was a little odd, as the beginning cutscene had the injured Marines dead. The only ones that weren't dead were Miranda and Johnson. The dead Marines were pretty gross to look at, as they have battle wounds all over them. Playing the level starts with Cortana saying, "This place will become your tomb." And the level plays like normal, except that there were dead Marines scattered, and no Cortana dialogue. Savo Highway is where things get bad. It starts with one Marine alive and bodies scattered, some with limbs missing and bigger pools of blood. Something I would never expect from Halo. I continued through the level, and then I got ran over by a chopper. Instead of Chief flying, when you get ran over, you saw Chief get brutally sliced in half. It was very disturbing. Something you really wouldn't expect in a Halo game. I respawned and got to the end. The shield you had to destroy to get to the end of the level had imprisoned civilians inside, and the Covenant pointing fuel rod cannons at you. A brute said, "Break the shield or I'll shoot." To end this horrific level, the cutscene starts with Cortana saying, "You're a failure," and a pelican comes down to pick Chief up. After the pelican leaves, the brutes kill the civilians in brutal ways. The storm had the whole beginning part with the warthogs cut, just straight to the building. When I walked into the building, I saw a Marine hanging himself off a wire. I progressed through the building. There were no Covenant, but there were Marines sliced in half. Severed limbs, and the floor was painted in blood. There were organs, bone, tissue, severed limbs, and other human remains everywhere. It was very disturbing. I got to the part with the ghosts and the anti-air wraiths. The wraiths weren't shooting at the sky, though. They were shooting at Marines, with the Marines graphically exploding. They wouldn't shoot at me, though. I went through another building, and it was eerily familiar to the last one. There was a brute, though, eating a human. He just ignored me. I then made it to the second part with the Scarab. This time, there were no wraiths. The Scarab was already there, but it did nothing. I went through the last building. Nothing was there except for a construction worker crying. I got to the last part, I saw chieftains running at me. Then it read at the bottom, worthless. I made it past the part due to a gravity hammer glitch. The cutscene shows Chief running from the brutes, and the flood ship comes in and graphically slices the brutes. Then Floodgate began. Dear God. Floodgate. It starts with the text at the bottom saying, "Nothing left." And you see the crashed flood ship up close. The flood came up, all human forms. The Marines started screaming inside the flood forms. It was disturbing. I only got 3 minutes though, until I was killed. Instead of a normal death, it showed a clip, a la the Batman Arkham series. This time, it shows a broken chief armor. The chief proceeds to take his helmet off. The face is melting with cuts and wounds all over it, missing an eye. It was the most disturbing thing I've ever seen. He says, in a dying voice, "I failed God." The screen faded into black. So I quit the game because of how scared I was, and I looked on Halo Waypoint to see if anyone else has seen Halo 3 Remastered. No topics yet, but I did start a board. Someone replied. I found it too. I managed to play through the whole damn thing. I asked what happened after Floodgate, and before he could reply, the topic was pulled by 343 Industries.